Good morning, good morning, good morning, y'all. What is going on? It is Barb Meets World. We are back again to discuss Married to Medicine, season 11, episode 12, Calm After the Storm. But you already know before we get into it, I need you guys to do a few things for moi, which includes liking the video. Liking the video helps me and my channel in terms of the algorithm, helps me attract new subscribers such as yourself. Go ahead and hit that like button, please, and thank you. Also, if you're not a current subscriber, go on ahead, hit the subscription button, become a Bars babe. I would love to have you. Also, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to know how you guys felt about the episode as well as my commentary. So please leave me a comment and I'll be sure to comment back and we can have a nice little cute kiki down there. Also, share me with all of your folks near and far and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know every single time I make an upload, such as this one right here. And here we are, y'all. What's going on? Let me throw my banner up here. I know that this is very impromptu. So as you guys come into the room, be sure to say hey in the chat or whatever. Again, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the episode as well. There's been a lot, not even just with the episode, but there's been a lot online afterwards. There's been just a lot going on surrounding this particular show, a lot to talk about, a lot to digest. And a lot of people have, you know, their own respective views on how individuals conducted themselves or some of the big red flags that we're seeing on the show. Yeah. So we're going to get into all that. I don't really have too long though, y'all. I got maybe like 45 minutes or so. So we're going to get right on into it. And again, let me know what you guys think. So yeah, this episode, Calm After the Storm, it takes place where the previous episode left off, of course, which is with everybody at the Sandbar, private Sandbar, and Ish was about to go down. My whole thing is Dr. G was backing up. King was coming at him. Dr. G better thank Shek for being there, because had he not, it could have went a whole different way. But at the same time, it could have went a whole different way. But actually, I do feel like if King wanted to get at Greg for real, he could have got to him. I do feel like that at the same time. However, no actual contact was made. So I'm just a little confused as to, you know, why Greg then proceeded to contact the authorities and, you know, get it to where I believe going forward, King will not be able to film with the group or anything like that. I just don't really understand where that was coming from, as much as that was just a power move. That was just him being in his feelings. Y'all let me know what you thought about that. But no contact was actually made. It's broken up by Shek. And then we have Steve escorting Dr. G away. Him and Cecil, or not even him and Cecil, Sweet Tea decides to run up on not her husband, but Quad and them. And Cecil's like, girl, go to your husband. Like, what are you doing? Don't come over here. Quad also was like, girl, go to your husband. Like, this is not, we're not even about to do this. Not really understanding. We seen her doing that goofy run up last week, and I'm just not understanding what exactly she was getting to, but I'm gonna save that for a little bit later on in the episode, because she got another thing coming, because she said some bullshit, and I'm gonna dig right on in that ass about that. Sorry, I am. But yeah, so Eugene, he was like the first person to speak up to really try to gain control out of the situation. He was trying to, you know, bring down the tension, all that good stuff. And he's telling King, like, you know, calm down, yada, yada, yada. But King's whole thing is, when he took Quad to the side, he was explaining how it all started with Dr. G admitting her to telling her to shut the F up and et cetera, et cetera. And by now we know that Quad nor King heard what Dr. G said. So there was some really interesting, funky things going on with the editing in these last couple of episodes, because us as viewers, I think a lot of us were like, how didn't you hear that? Like, he said it right there. Like, weren't understanding how that comment just went over their heads, but apparently it did. And Quad was just as much taken aback by Dr. G talking her crazy like that as much as King was. And his whole thing is, you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, he's not going to disrespect you. I don't care. Like, the past is the past, no doubt, but we're here now, and that's not about to pop off while I'm here. And Dr. G, you're also the same person that said that, you know, you wanted, like, good, she got somebody to defend her, or she said something to that magnitude. So you got exactly what you put out there. Yes, exactly. She got somebody to stand up for her. And some people do not, you know, agree with how King conducted himself in that moment. But I do understand that when we just break it down and we take out the individuals and we just put whoever in these positions, y'all, nobody is going to just stand there and allow somebody, especially from their past, especially when there's been so much turmoil between you and said person, nobody's just going to let you just get that off and, you know, you're not going to say anything. So I do understand why King felt the need to say something. And I really do feel like Dr. G was purposely, he knew what he was doing. He did know what he was doing, because when we look at it and we look back at how he conducted himself when it came to what went down between him and Damon or whatever, it was all cool when Damon said, hey, talk to me or whatever. But why was it such a problem now when King said what he said? You know, he was saying little inflammatory things, I feel like, to, you know, make a moment, in my opinion. And that's just what, you know, narcissistic people do. Yeah. So anyway, what else? Mimi, yeah, gotta jump on her real quick, because although later on in the episode, I feel like she said some things that were of value at the Sandbar when she was trying to calm down and support Sweet Tea, who was, all the theatrics were occurring at this time, directly following the almost fight. My whole thing is, Dr. Mimi, you're sitting there saying, oh, this is y'all's covenant. They want to get between you and Greg or whatever. It's clear that your little friend or whatever, your little friend girl over here got into your ear coming onto this show, because last time I checked, you weren't even here to know Quad and Greg. You don't even know like anything about their past or anything like that. So I just was really confused as to why you felt yourself so comfortable in, you know, saying whatever you said. Hello, good morning, cousin. He got no respect for King because he doesn't respect Quad. And that's honestly what it comes down to, y'all, because I feel like another big part that we're missing is that Dr. G was so quick to step to King and apologize, so to speak, to him, when that apology should have went directly to Quad. He was trying to do like he was trying to have some like man-to-man thing, I think, with him. And I think that man-to-man thing was deeply rooted upon the fact that he doesn't respect women. I feel like in general, we'll see more of that later on in the episode. He has an issue within him, his own self. And I feel like that is really what comes to play here. And for some odd reason, people, I feel like, are so dead set on hating Quad and placing all the issues onto Quad, when in all actuality, Dr. G is hell on wheels in front of the camera, behind the camera, in all different aspects of life. I really do feel like he is. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. So, of course, Sweet Tea, then this is when we get this moment of Phaedra breaking out in tongues. We got freaking Contessa talking about she was like praying over her. It was a lot going on. Letitia's all like, like it was a lot. It was a lot for me, but nonetheless, Apollo's whole thing is he knew Phaedra since 97, and last time he checked, he had never seen anything like this. I did laugh when he said that, although, you know, I don't really see it for Apollo either. And quite frankly, Phaedra doesn't owe him shit, and I'm going to stand on that. I did laugh at that. Can't lie about that. I definitely would have been right there with the Golden Girls, though. Very much confused, very much not understanding how we even got to this point. Nonetheless, of course, they couldn't all obviously go back on the same boat, even though I'm pretty sure there was 2 boats there the entire time. Production, everybody was there. There was 2 boats there the whole time. You can't tell me differently. I also want to know how long they were able to be there before Ish even went down, because I would have been pissed. Anyway, so they all get onto 2 different boats to split them up. And this is where Contessa actually talks to Heavenly about, like, okay, girl, what happened between you and Sweet Tea? Like, I'm not understanding. And Heavenly does acknowledge the fact that Sweet Tea apparently is a sweet girl and all this. And Contessa's whole thing is Sweet Tea's going through a lot. They basically be, throwing a lot at her. And, not to mention she's going through hormone therapy or whatever. Okay, well, maybe she needs to stay her ass the fuck at home then, if she has so much going on. If she can't handle being in this group, and I feel like Jackie even spoke to this before too, when she was talking about her alcohol intake and stuff like that. If she cannot handle being in this group, then she don't need to be in this group, period. I mean, actually scratch that. She just doesn't need to be in the group, period. It's not if she can handle it or not handle it. Y'all's presence was no longer needed. It never was needed. And I'm glad that she and her husband decided that they were going to leave. Like, thank God, please get out of here. What else? So then, of course, they all get back. Fast forward to the next morning. Apollo and Shireen, they popped in on Simone and Heavenly was very apologetic for how things went down. She was apologetic towards Apollo. And my whole thing is, I feel like Heavenly, I will say she is one to apologize and stuff like that. Does you put her foot in her mouth directly following the apologies? Oftentimes, yes. But I do feel like there needs to be more people apologizing within this group. And for some odd reason, there's not. Anyway, so Apollo's whole thing is he still feels very slighted by, Phaedra and Shek, and even going back to the previous night, Shek had invited him out to the strip club, and it was just like, and my whole thing is, again, Apollo, you're owed nothing in this situation. However, did Phaedra kind of open up that door last season by bringing you on to the show? Of course. But at the end of the day, you're owed nothing. Sorry. She can date whoever she wants. Would I do it? Probably not, but this isn't about me. At the end of the day, she owes you nothing. And Heavenly and Simone are really trying to get to the bottom of why Phaedra is like, the way she is, why she is so distant, et cetera, et cetera. And the way Apollo broke it down is kind of like, I guess, because she's used to being, I don't want to say should I say dominant? She's used to being the boss one, I guess, in the group or whatever. And his whole thing, and her whole thing is, in this group, like, she's the outcast. Like, she came into their arena. So, yeah. Sleep Time continues to say that women bring her stress, and that's why she can't get pregnant, then leave. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not really understanding why she's here. Anyway, so then we see Heavenly placing the blame on, Phaedra. And I do kind of agree with that, because even in this, because we get like a split scene between them, and then we also see Jackie go in to check on Phaedra. And it's like, girl, Phaedra's whole thing is she was mad at Jackie because apparently Jackie was supposed to have her back above everybody and nobody had her back. So she was really pissed off about that, I guess, so much so that she wanted to leave. And Jackie was just as confused as I was, because I'm like, Jackie, how are you upset with Phaedra? How are you upset with Jackie? Are we serious right now? And y'all peeped her face when Jackie said, like, Heavenly told me that you knew Apollo was coming. She didn't deny that. So again, multiple things can be true at the same time. Phaedra, you knew that he was coming. So I really feel like this all comes down to you finding whatever type of exit strategy you could, because who knows, you could have got that call from the Real Housewives of Atlanta by this time. This was never going to be your final end all be all anyway. Like, you never really fit on this cast at all. So I just feel like this was your way of making your exit. Y'all let me know what you guys think in the comments. Faye is used to being the smartest one in the room and being able to run circles around the other women. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. She is used to having some type of leg up on whoever is around her. And in this group, that's not the case. She's the odd man out. So yeah, I don't think that we're really going to have that problem, though, obviously, going forward, because she leaves. She's like, you know, going on my private jet, and Shaq grabs the bags. He grabbed his purse, too, and they were off. And that's just what it was. So the next time we see the remaining men, they're heading off to a cigar bar, while the ladies, they head off to have some drinks and whatever amongst themselves as well. And again, Simone speaks to them being like this being the worst breakdown that the group has ever seen. Okay. And she also talks about what happened, of course, between Greg and King. She relates Simone relates to the ladies what Phaedra said about them being a bunch of mean girls and how she's no longer going to be featuring them. She's done with them, etc., etc. I feel like Toya kind of during this episode was on an island alone, kind of peeping things from her own perspective. And she said kind of like what I'm pretty sure a certain demographic of viewers have been thinking, which was, I'm not understanding why Apollo and his new wife were invited at all. And I feel like we're not asking the right questions in this group. Just like we're not everybody's so quick to say, oh my God, it's clear that Quad and Greg cannot be in the same space yet. They haven't done the right healing yet, etc., etc. When all along it shouldn't be that. It should be, we shouldn't have orchestrated them being around each other. It's a way for you to get the message across whilst absolving yourselves from any type of accountability, is what I feel like I saw a lot in this episode. So anyway, meanwhile, with the guys at the cigar bar, Damon asks if anybody's spoken to the other guys. Scott makes mention of how it was just too soon for them to be amongst each other or whatever. And again, King's whole thing is it comes down to the disrespect, and not even so much so about being uncomfortable. It's just, you're not going to say disrespectful comments and think that you're just going to get away with it. And I feel like, yeah, Dr. G is definitely somebody who thinks he can say and conduct himself however he wants to, and he's not going to get checked for that, or that, you know, he just has such an issue with, you know, how his ex-wife, I'm not even gonna say her come up, because I don't really feel like, quite frankly, Quad was ever down. And for the ones that are so quick to always say like she was with him for his money and etc., etc., okay, and even if that is the case, he was with her because she was freaking the best possible arm candy that he was able to pull, clearly. So it is what it is. Anyway, and then this is where Damon says that, or acknowledges, I should say, that with them all being so passionate about their women, their families, etc., there's just, you know, certain lines that once crossed, you're forced to do something that you may or may not agree with, or, you know, that may not be within your character. So he does agree with how King conducted himself. And I feel like that's kind of where, I guess, you know, Heavenly was speaking from in her live before she said, yeah, or I'm not even saying that was when she said some things that I don't agree with how she worded what she said. Steve says that he's usually not for the drama. He's someone who tries to act as a mediator, if anything. Okay, Steve, jury's still out on you and Mimi. So I don't know. Let me know what do you guys feel like there's something up in there or not? I don't know. Because I did hear also, I played it back so many times, but somebody said that when they were on at the Sandbar or whatever, he ran up talking about oh yeah, because I don't play about mine or something like that. I didn't catch that though. Y'all let me know. I didn't hear Steve say that, but again, jury's still out on them. But honestly, I'm not even really going to get too comfortable with Steve and Mimi because Married to Medicine is notorious for not really giving the friends of and new individuals coming into the group their just due. It's really about the core, like 3 or 4 groups of or couples on this show, which, you know, are the Golden Girls. And I guess you'd say Toya and Eugene as well. I feel like everybody else is just disposable. She made more money than him. I'm sick of the musty side of Married to Medicine fans calling her a gold digger. Yeah. And like, again, even if that was the case, both of them clearly at that time saw some type of value in being with the other one. And it's not to say that everybody always wants to say, well, yeah, she wasn't trying to have his baby and this and that. And what would you have his motherfucking baby if he couldn't even respect you in the slightest and was abusive? He doesn't deserve to have a baby created from his DNA. And if Sweet Tea knew anything and she had any brains about herself, she would not be spreading it wide open for him and getting these fertility treatments and doing all this stuff. She would be fastly creating an exit plan. I don't even know why. Like, why are you even still there currently? Because, girl, you still don't believe Quad? He did say when he don't play about that one when Sleepy and Heavenly started their mess in the water. Okay, so that was okay. Because I was like, I didn't hear him say that, but again, jury's still out on them. I don't know. We'll see. What else happened? Contessa, or after the day's shenanigans, it's getting closer to dinner time, of course, and Contessa is telling Scott how, you know, she's had some conversations with Heavenly, etc., whatever. Contessa, Sweet Tea versus everybody. Yeah. I don't know what you guys thought it was going to be coming. Like, it's just the people being like willfully ignorant and acting like if it was done to them, they would have an issue. But when it's done to someone like Quad, it's not an issue. Somehow, like, why is the principle not the same? And we'll get more into that during the final scene of the episode, because I'm just not understanding why you guys understand it when it pertains to you and Curtis's fucking little bang that he had walking through the Atlanta airport, or Simone, you would understand it if we brought Tammy on here, or Toya, you would understand it if the big titty girl was brought on here. Like, we understand it when it applies to everybody else in the group, but when it applies to Quad, nobody thought to consider her feelings. I'm just I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, so from there, they again, or not again, but Contessa calls Sweet Tea and Dr. G. He's still trying to speak on him being pretty much innocent in the whole matter. He feels as though he was approached with he didn't approach King with any disrespect, and instead he was charged. Sir, you were talking cash money shit, in my opinion. And the only reason why King didn't address it the night before is because for some odd reason, again, editing, I wish I was on this trip, because the editing didn't do us any justice on how things really went down. Because had King heard you that night, he would have more than likely addressed you that night. I do believe that. I don't feel as though you inflicted any fears in him or anything like that. So again, spare me. But back in Atlanta, we now have this extremely cringy and extremely telling conversation between Sweet Tea and Greg, where, you know, he's clearly still very much butthurt over Quad talking about how she left him. My whole thing with that is, why do you care? It shouldn't matter, right? You moved on. You got somebody that could give you what you want and et cetera, et cetera. So why it shouldn't even bother you? Why does it bother you? Because that would indicate that you didn't have the ultimate control in the situation. Is that what it is? Because you're controlling, you're abusive, and you're all the things. I feel like that's what it is. So she's trying to, speak on how she felt about the matter because, we're all entitled to our opinions, right? Okay, I can agree with her on that. He proceeds to call her dense and everything but a child of God. And, he says, had he had to get up out of there or whatever, otherwise somebody was about to get hurt, and had Shaq not been there, it would have been a fight to the death. Huh? Let me scratch my head on that one because I'm confused. A fight to the death. Did you guys see the makings of a fight to the death? I definitely did, and I think it would have been a quick 1-2 and it would have been all done. Maybe that's just me, but that was very ambitious of you to say, Dr. G. Sweet T's whole thing is she disagrees. It wouldn't have been a fight to the death because, she was there to have her man's back. She's combat trained, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, okay, but you're still a woman. This is what I mean by he doesn't respect women in general. And although, yes, if I see me and my husband, if something's about to go down or whatever, and he's, it's one-on-one between him and another man, no, I'm not going to jump bad or whatever. Now, if it was like a jumping situation or something like that, that's a different story. But at the end of the day, I'm not, one to just jump in some shit like that, of course. And also, Sweet Tea, you're talking about, I'm trying not to get my blood pressure up because I was really hoping for some odd reason that this was not the case with her, talking about some, combat train. I was in the Air Force, fuck out of here. Okay. Like, first of all, and I can say this because if you guys don't know, I am a Marine. No, sit down. That run that you did up, running up look goofy AF. I do not feel like you were coming to anybody's defense. And quite frankly, I don't know if you guys peeped, but she did say when they were on the boat back to the mainland or whatever, she said, I've never been in a fight in my life. So on one hand, I'm combat trained. I'm ready to jump bad with whoever and whatever. And then on the other hand, I never been in a fight in all of my life. Exactly. Air Force, stay over there. Stay over there. Don't come over here. We don't need it. Just all types of goofy. Just straight up goofy. But again, we see her continuously trying to come to his defense, trying to support him, trying to do all of these things for him. And what are we talking about here? Like, why are you coming to this man's defense when he don't respect you? He don't respect women. And quite frankly, I feel like this was just a very small glimpse into what their dynamic is really behind the scenes. She knows that she sees the writings on the wall, but for some odd reason, I feel like maybe it's her own, rooted in her own pride. She's not going to give Quad the benefit of the doubt or any of us the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, y'all was right. He's hell on wheels. I need to get the fuck. She's not going to come out her mouth and say that when she really should. So instead, they go back and forth with him saying demeaning things such as calling her naive. And you see how quick she was to speak. She's tried to speak extra nice and sweet to him and really try to keep things at bay because she saw how unhinged he was. And again, she's still trying to be protective of him and his image and all these different things in this moment, instead of not one, chasing after him, and two, not packing her bags and getting the fuck on out of there. Would not have been me. Absolutely not. But, he's refusing to hear anything that she has to say because she decided to charge a grown ass man and then turn around and act like she's not naive. So again, he gets up from the table. I saw the makings of him about to get his. Yeah, that's what I saw, but I don't know. Maybe, I guess I'm crazy. That's what she said that she's. Yeah. So what the fuck are you talking about, Sweet Tea? Fucking Air Force bullshit. Anyway, and y'all, that's no shade. It's no shade. You know, I respect all my brothers and sisters in arms, but you know, Marines, we just do things differently, okay? Anyway, so at the end of the day, she goes upstairs, runs after this man, closes the door. Some people feel as though they heard him like hit her or something happened behind the scenes, something physical. I didn't make that out, but I do feel like this was again just a glimpse into what is really going on, which I didn't need to see this to know what was going on. But can you guys imagine if he felt so comfortable acting like this in front of the cameras? Imagine how he acts behind the cameras, like behind the scenes, I should say. Hell on wheels. Run. So back in Key West, it's time for them to have their little couples therapy closeout. And so they're all wearing yellow for friendship, whatever. And it's clear that they're about to do some type of like exercise. Mimi bought that lemon, or she bought that blown glass bowl, emotional support bowl in this case, for them to all utilize during this exercise. And Simone starts off by asking the new couple, what are their feelings on the presence of the exes in the group. Actually, before we even get into that, you guys people, like when Cecil like threw shade, I forget what did Simone say, and she was like opening up the discussion and stuff like that, and Cecil threw some shade at her or whatever. Do you guys feel like he was just trolling her? Do you think that he was serious? Like, what do you guys think about that? Because we know that at the end of the day, I do feel as though a lot of these couples, Simone's, Jackie's, like, you know, Heavenly's, yeah, I do feel like they stir up and deflect and point the finger at other people and what they have going on as a means of protecting themselves and what's really going on in their marriage. I do feel like that. I sure do. So again, let me know what you guys thought about with Cecil, the shade he threw in that moment. But Simone, she asks, what are their feelings on the presence of exes in the group? Mimi says that, you know, if there are exes present in the group, then we have to know that the exes have done their particular work, and what she experienced is that those particular exes have not done what they needed to do in that regard. And she places the blame on both Quad and Dr. G. And mind you, like during this discussion or whatever, they were panning, the camera's panning to Quad a lot or whatever. And if I was Quad, I would have been, sitting there right just like that, sipping my drink and rolling my eyes, because yes, I feel like two things can be true. I've said that probably 10 times already in this video, but I do feel like in this case, Quad, yes, is there maybe some more healing that she needs to do or whatever? Sure. Okay, fine. Whatever. We all need to heal. Whatever. This is why I'm going to therapy in 20 minutes. So anyway, I do understand that, but at the same time, the things that I feel like people are trying to hold Quad and Dr. G to the same level of accountability, and I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like that man, I'm placing all of everything pretty much on him, because I feel like I saw her still trying to, you know, make things work, still trying to, you know, show up for him and stuff like that or whatever, when he couldn't even talk to her with respect. Like, that's the bare minimum. I feel like she gave him the bare minimum. He couldn't even give her the bare minimum. So I feel like he's the one that actually needs to do a lot of the work. He's the one that it's a respect thing overall with him. I don't feel like Quad has some crazy level of disrespect to all men or anything like that, but it's clear that Dr. G has, you know, his issues towards women. So I see what Dr. Mimi was trying to say, but at the same time, we need to stop fucking ignoring the fact that this man admitted to putting his hands on this woman, dragging her down the stairs, etc., etc. We need to stop making excuses for somebody who is known to be abusive. I feel like anything that came after that was Quad more than likely acting in self-defense. I don't feel like she was in there trying to like blow her life up or whatever on purpose or anything like that. I think that she was really genuinely trying to, you know, make Ish work with him or whatever until she realized this is not somebody to make Ish work with. Because I've seen, as women, us be very forgiving to the point that we definitely should not be. And I feel like that's probably the case for them at that time. And again, instead of you, Sweet Tea, taking all this in and realizing and reading the Yelp reviews, shout outs to Erica De Niro, shout outs to the Diva, instead of you reading the Yelp reviews, you instead decided, let me jump the fuck in this man's DMs, give him what he wants, only to find out you can't even do that. And then proceed to point the finger at everybody else and I shouldn't even say everybody else, point the finger at Quad and say that she's the one that's obsessed and jealous and this and that and the other thing, when in all actuality, you wanted that lady's life. And it's fine. You got it. You got it. I hope you were happy. You got exactly what you set out for, Miss Mama. So let me try to finish this up real quick. So maybe we can hit a couple of these other little things I saw online. So again, everybody kind of just goes around saying how they, you know, answering that question or whatever. Jackie's whole thing was like, absolutely not. Don't bring exes around me. I couldn't handle it. I'm not here for it. And again, that's why I said what I said earlier, where it's like, okay, so you guys understand it. And Heavenly, you're like mentioning how you didn't consider Quad's feelings and stuff like that. Like, everybody can recognize it when it comes down to their situations and stuff like that. Or you recognize it in this case when it backfired and blew up and made you look crazy or whatever for orchestrating this, because that's what it comes down to. Because it's not just Heavenly that spearheaded Sweet Tea being on the show or whatever. You guys all wanted her to be on the show or whatever, because again, y'all have like this ongoing vendetta against Quad deep down inside. Somehow we can understand it when it applies to y'all, but we can't understand it when it applies to her. Somebody please make that make sense for me, because I just don't get it. Toya's whole thing is going back to Phaedra calling them mean girls and stuff like that. And she speaks on how, yeah, that's definitely been the case here or whatever. She says that Dr. G did wrong yesterday. Sweet Tea did wrong yesterday, but they're all wrong. And while they're saying they're not mean girls, they need to look in the mirror and recognize that they do some effed up stuff. For me, it was exactly right message, wrong messenger, because Toya, you have your things and you also played a part in that last season and whatever too. But again, it is the right message that you guys all are so quick to put it out there as if like, oh, y'all, Quad and G haven't done what they need to do, blah, 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 blah. Instead of saying, yeah, we should not have brought an abuser back onto the show. Wow. Shame on me. We're not getting any of that. So, and I love how Contessa brought up the fact that they're all sitting there calm and everything. Meanwhile, back in Atlanta, Dr. G is on fire or whatever. And that just shows, again, this man is unfreaking hinged. Eugene's takeaway is that Quad and Greg are, again, not ready to be in the same place at the same time. It ain't a good idea. And I'm like, you know, Eugene, I like you a lot of times, and you speak with reason a lot of times and rationally and all the things. But in this case, I feel like this, instead of you also acknowledging the fact that it's not a rumor, y'all. It's not something we're making up. This man acknowledged and admitted to being abusive towards his ex-wife. So instead of you guys taking that for what it was and seeing that this was leached off of that, his antics in this episode, this last couple episodes, whatever, you guys are so quick to throw Quad's name in there as well. And I feel like this is just because Eugene, like the issues that they've had with Quad in the past and stuff like that, I think it was just a dig at her. Ultimately, they can just never just allow her to be in the right, I feel like. I think Damon gives everybody their flowers pretty much. And yeah, that was pretty much it that I have to say about the episode, y'all. Let's go over, maybe we can hit these, got like 10 minutes. Let's hit these stupid A things that were said online. Shout out to the Bravo Shade Room.
When you heard your ex say that she wanted to go to like a baby shower?
I mean, that was offensive, but it didn't trigger me. Like, what really triggered me was, her saying that, she left me and all that, that was doing too much. I let her run all over me for years and say all sorts of things for years. And now I'm out of that situation and I just want to keep moving forward. And, it's time for them to just leave me alone. People will say, well, why did I come back? Well, I definitely didn't come back for her or to be in her circle. I came back because I got friends and, I enjoyed this space and just never expected a real button to be pushed. And I didn't even know that button could be pushed, quite frankly. But, with all the things I had going on and, all the injustices that I've had to sustain, particularly with this person, and then I'm just coming away from the most unjust situation that I could imagine at work. I just really wasn't in the mood to take no more bullshit. That's just kind of where I was coming from.
Right, and here you got somebody that, doesn't really have nothing to lose. Someone that's, mouthy, trying to get your attention.
Let me just stop it right there real quick. Greg, you're saying that, and I want you guys to really drop down in the comments and let me know this, because I feel like there's been so much conflicting things being said about where he lies in this group with these men, because on one hand it's nobody called me, checked on me, supported me, or whatever, had my back in that situation as much as they could, to then saying you have friends in this group, to saying then we got the Eugenes or whatever saying that we're not even really that cool or whatever. Like, so where do you feel like you fall in this group? I feel like, taking all that away from the table, it all comes down to, yes, you re-entered this group, had nothing to do with you trying to be friends with these guys as much as you thought that you were going to come your ass back on this show and stunt on your ex-wife, and that fucking backfired in your face. And when your feet were held to the fire and you were put into a predicament that you were put in, and you saw her having, this life that you probably wanted with her, and talking about, she getting her back blown out 15 times a week or whatever, you couldn't handle that, is what it all came down to. So yeah, you talking about buttons that you didn't think could be pushed or whatever, and her talking about that she left him and stuff like that. Like, Letitia, what the are you serious? Stand up. Like, it is maddening to me that people are purposely looking past what is really being said here and what all the signs are indicating. Saying chose to leave the marriage was a trigger. Give him a big old cup of N-word, please. Yeah, like, I can't. And then also talking about somebody that doesn't have anything to lose. Sweet Tea, what the fuck do you have to lose? Because we don't know you from a can of paint, for real. And I've seen, the things that Quad has done outside the circle and stuff like that, and been able, like, she doesn't have anything to lose, but she was able to leave his ass and not miss a beat and not, waver in her lifestyle at all, but she don't have nothing to lose. And if we're talking about King as well, okay, yeah, he might not be a doctor, and this is why there's this doctor superiority issue on this show that is gross. Just because he's not a doctor doesn't mean he's not an established businessman in his own right. So what are we saying that these people don't have anything to lose? Like,
been trying to get your attention, and we just don't really care. But I think that's a double standard.
Been trying to get your attention, but we don't really care. But every single time we turn around, you wearing dresses like this lady, you still got the stuff that was in the house, but you don't care. But you came onto the show that I don't care, because in this freaking video or whatever, Sweet Tea admits that the guys don't get paid or whatever, which I already knew. But so with that being said, you came onto her show. I don't care how you guys want to flip it and put it. You guys came onto her show, but you're saying that she's checking for y'all?
That, like, a woman can't come at a man, and a man should be able to defend himself, regardless, with his words. And so if you cannot take that, And you can, if you're going to come at someone and disrespect them, you know, expect someone to go, they're going to defend themselves, whether it's a man or a woman, and you have the right to do that. And so, you know, I hate this whole double standard. And so that's why, like, I've been trying to figure out how to navigate everything, because it's like, you know, of course, in this group, they love to play victim, and, you know, she loves to play victim. And so my mindset is, if you come at her, you know, it's going to make it seem one way, allow me to do that.
The issue is, though, it really comes down to, I have real trauma from that relationship. And see, I think that's something.
And Quad doesn't. And I also meant to say earlier in the episode that when she was taking jabs at Colin, talking about elderly abuse or whatever, you saw y'all Dr. G's face or whatever. We need to stop the age shaming bullshit too, Sweet Tea, because I do get like, yeah, they come at you about your age sometimes, ha ha he he, but you're so quick to always talk about somebody's old when you're literally married to like one of the oldest people on the cast. So clearly you like to gargle old, sweaty, musty, gray balls in your mouth, clearly. So
that you don't truly understand, like the trauma that I have from that relationship.
It comes down to.
I mean, and you know, I don't want to go into the details of all the things that I endured, but it's a lot of trauma in this relationship. And you know, in spite of all that trauma, you know, I tried to stay positive and spin things in a positive way. And I've taken the heat, and I've taken a lot of beatings. You know, in terms of the things that she said, the way that my character.
And Quad hasn't taken beatings physically from your own admission. She wants to play victim. This is playing victim in my
has been demeaned, and the way that I have been spun as a person, you know. And so, you know, I took all that, and then, you know, on top of that, I was more than fair, you know, financially with the divorce and everything. And, you know, I just kind of like, you know, I just tried to be the biggest person I could be in that situation, because, you know, I know that this person has certain. I don't even want to get in there. I just know that I had to get out. I know that I had to get out. And, you know, here I am. I've made it out. You know, I'm living a good life. I'm wishing everybody well. You know, I'm back in with the guys. And then all of a sudden somebody just in a state comes at me with some trash on the wrong day after I've been through the wrong thing. And it pressed the button. I reacted. And, you know, and I don't feel like I did wrong by reacting, but I feel like it really wasn't something that would have even affected me maybe on another day, because at the end of the day, you know, I know what this person would do. And, you know, but I was in a vulnerable state. I spoke my mind. It was my truth. And even to this point, I don't regret it, you know, because I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't say anything untrue. But at the end of the day, would I have said it if I hadn't been in such a state? I don't know. Don't know and don't really care.
I think that you did a really good job anyway. Like, it took you a while to get to that point. So and they've said it numerous times that they don't really know her like that. You know, she only comes around when cameras are around. And so, like, it's always in a weird dynamic for me coming into the lady group.
It's a weird dynamic coming to lady group, because you shouldn't be in a fucking lady group.
Because, you know, I kind of feel like at one moment, you know, they embraced me or were trying to get me to be on the show. And then all of a sudden, you know, now they've made up with Quad,
you were used.
It seems like now, you know, they want to be nasty and disrespect me.
What were your feelings when you...
Guys don't take things so personally or so seriously. Like, it's just like,
no, y'all do when it comes
I don't
to
think
you
so.
guys.
Like, I don't think so. Like, this whole thing with King and all them. I mean, these guys, they went and they embraced this guy like he's been around. Like he's been around for a million years, you know, and you know, like they know my character. Like, I would go and try to blatantly disrespect anybody like that, and then I would take it to violence. I mean, you know, that dude brought a lot of negative energy. Yet they're trying to hear his side. You know, I'm like, what the man? What is this? You know, so it's like if somebody did you like that, you wouldn't feel so cool. You know, but you know, as a man, you know, I think we don't get as sensitive about stuff like that. But I mean, that whole thing was some bullshit. Like, all of them fellas, they didn't really back me up the way I would have thought. But at the same time, you know, we did leave the island, so I wasn't there to really get but they already know my side of the story. They know me. They've known me for years. You know what I mean? But,
you know, I think a lot of people want to know the truth. Did we press charges? Did you press charges?
No, and I didn't press charges, but, you know, very, very pissed about the situation. I mean, somebody charging you, I mean, you know, you're going to be real pissed about it. and I don't take bullying. It's like I don't feel like it's cool. And the guys, they said they were going to handle it, and that didn't work out. So it's just like I really don't know how to feel about it. I can't stay locked in one emotional state, trying to move on. So there it
Do you
is.
feel like the man chose his side over yours?
In some ways, I do. Some ways, I do. Yeah.
Like I saw him taking his shirt off and all that, and so like that was alarming because one, I seen the security prior, they went about, and so like and they weren't really around, and so like when I'm walking with Phaedra,
And you were about shit.
and I see the corner of my eye, somebody running up on you.
Well,
That's
the
like
airport.
I think a lot of women would feel like like this is an attack on my family, and the lioness in me came out. Not saying it was the right thing to
I
do.
can take care of myself. I don't want you
I understand
running
that,
in there
but
trying to defend me
it has nothing
against no man. Don't do that, babe.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just that at the time, I'm trying to explain how I felt and why I did what I did, because I didn't know I was gonna do that. When I saw him taking his shirt off and all that, I'm just like, oh hell no, we're not gonna do this. And so, and the funny thing is, I had just talked to Kurt earlier, and I said, hey, we don't got a dog in this fight. We don't need to be into that, let that be, that's dead, that's old. I'm pretty sure you want to move on if you happy. And so like, and I know and I felt bad for him the night before at the vibe check, the pool party, because I kind of felt like, here she is, trying to uplift you, but she has to mention her ex. And I would be pissed if he did that to me. And so I'm like, that's awkward, because like, I don't ever want you to uplift me and have to mention somebody else in the midst of that. Like, I just felt like it's just she's trying to like compare you and size you up, and like it's a competition, or she's trying to get your attention and prove something. And so like, you ain't got nothing to prove,
Well, there is no competition.
There's no competition.
The bottom line is,
because
she doesn't have anything to prove to you anymore, and I don't think that
the past is
the past is the past. And
so I mean, I'm glad that this is all, behind me, and nobody, got hurt, because people can really get hurt. And so nobody got hurt. And, hopefully nothing like this ever happens again, because, it wasn't a good move. It wasn't a good scene.
Damon says the same thing. You should know me, or you should.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of like, does it seem like the whole season then the men weren't on your side, or were we just?
There have been times that I have been very surprised by the lack of support I've gotten from the.
Well, I think that you have to understand that like some of the men, like their women are making this money, and so they don't want to go against their wives. I think that's why they do what they do, and so I picked up on that.
Guys don't take things so personally or so seriously. Like it's just like
no, y'all do when it comes.
I don't think so. Like I don't think so. Like this whole thing with King and all them. I mean, these guys, they went and they embraced it.
Okay, so I wanted to also play. Not gonna have time right now, but I wanted to also play because Quad did this.
You know what? Then I got somebody else.
So I'll probably try to come back later on and go over those clips, y'all. But again, ridiculous. I think these two people live in a land of delusion, and they're just going to stick to whatever story makes him, feel in most control, and what makes her feel as though, she's a pick me. So, whatever falls in line with that is what she's going to do. Gross, absolutely gross, y'all. But I got to get out of here. Shout out to my cousin for her commentary in the live chat. If you guys are going to be catching this on the replay, again, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of the things. Shout outs to y'all, because again, we had a lot to digest with Married to Medicine this week. And like I said before, I'll try to come back later on and go over those clips of Quad, and also talk a little bit more about how I felt about Heavenly's foolish, gross comment that she made. And I think that might be, I think that might be all I need to cover with Married to Medicine, but I got to get out of here. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.